r/AskReddit. What's the creepiest thing you've ever experienced when you've been alone? I was walking home from a bar one night when I was at uni and heard what sounded like a blood-curdling female scream. I was absolutely petrified, made a cursory glance to see if I could easily see what was going on, but when I couldn't see anyone I sprinted home. It was only months later that I saw a video online and realized what it was. It was a ducking fox. Their screams are horrifying. I saw a grey fox at night once and it really creeped me out. I can't quite explain why, because I like animals, and I particularly like dogs and their relatives, but something about the fox's face and the way he moved made me feel like I was seeing a ghost. I got chills from it. Foxes in most cultures are seen as mischievous and sly, and in a lot of cultures foxes are known for shape-shifting too. My favorite legend must be the Fox's Wedding. It's a Japanese folklore tale which is about how foxes shape-shift into beautiful women to seduce men and unmarry them. On the night of their wedding they eat their husband's liver. If a fox eats 10 livers it can fully become human. This happened a few years ago. It was about 9 PM and I was returning from practice. I would say I'm a pretty paranoid guy and usually overthink stuff. As I was walking down the road I had this terrible gut feeling, like my heart dropped. I immediately felt like I should look behind me. I turned around and saw a man, pretty muscular, around his middle 30s, staring at me. I froze and suddenly the same gut feeling returned. I don't know why, but I had that urge to scream. The guy actually took off running, probably because he thought I was calling for help. When I got home I told my parents. I was 14 at the time, and we called the police. A few days later a police officer knocks on our door and starts asking me questions. He had a picture of the guy from that night. I could tell it was him due to him being bald, and from his muscular body. It turns out they had already caught the guy and just wanted to confirm if it was him. I later find out this guy has been guilty for murder, molestation, etc. He was also carrying a knife the night I saw him. Really messed up guy. Good on you for screaming. There's a phrase, fuck politeness. If you think something is wrong, don't worry about being polite, or looking awkward, or being paranoid or foolish. You scream, make noise, cause a scene. If he didn't have bad intentions he wouldn't have run off. People die because of politeness. Be weird, be rude, stay alive. When it was night I always heard my mother coughing downstairs. One weekend my parents and my brother went on a trip together, and I was home alone. And I heard the coughing. So it was not my mom. Raccoons can actually make human-like noises, so there might have been one outside. After I moved out of my parents into a small one-story house, I still heard my dad walk down the stairs around 1 every morning to use the restroom. I think your brain can see that something that usually happens missing and make you think you hear it. Me and my mom saw someone or something watching us sleep. I was about 5 or 6 years old and my mom was putting me to sleep. I fell asleep, and when I woke up in the middle of the night I saw a dark figure like a man standing in front of the window. I woke my mom up almost about to cry, and I was hoping it was just a tree or something, because we were on the 2nd floor of the house. But when she woke up she also saw what happened, and told me to stay put and don't move. She quickly ran to the living room, because we had guests over and everyone was still up drinking. She told everyone what happened, and for 3 hours everyone went out and searched around the house. What I didn't tell her was that when she left the window started to rattle, as if someone was trying to open it. I was scared and never slept on my own in that room until I was 8. Is there any reason why it could have been a something and not a someone? Unless there was a balcony, it's kinda strange that something was at the window of the 2nd story window. Once my grandma was out of town to visit my uncle who lives in another state. I was watering her plants, feeding her dog, checking her mail, all that stuff. I went inside and her TV was turned on. Turned it off. Went into a different part of the house to water the plants she kept in a den-like area. Walked back through the living room and the TV was on again, this time the Golf Network. My pap loved napping to golf, like every other 60-something on the planet. Turned it off and went about my business. Came back a few days later to repeat this routine and some of her figurines had been turned around. He'd sometimes do this because it annoyed my grandma. Probably not creepy, but it makes me chuckle. This is the cutest creepy story ever. When I was a kid, I used to spend a lot of time alone in my basement. We had a TV down there, so I was down there pretty late most nights in the summer. One pretty late night, I swear I heard rustling from behind me, but when I turned around, there was nothing there. I felt a really sharp breath on the back of my neck, hard enough to blow my hair. Took off up the steps, leaving everything on downstairs. I grabbed my mom and we went back downstairs to check it out. Everything was turned off. I didn't hang out downstairs anymore. It was my parents' basement when I was visiting home during uni. I thought it was haunted. Stuff would vanish or seem to move on its own. Sometimes I'd hear footsteps upstairs when no one was home, and investigate, and indeed I was alone. Then I started literally missing time, and finding myself in different places down in the basement. There were other things. Turned out, carbon monoxide leak and poisoning. I was lucky I wasn't there for extended periods, and it was full, so windows were open. OMG. You're lucky you're not dead. Yeah, I really am. It was way long ago. I really just started to think I was going crazy. Laying in bed, and you hear the dog door flap back and forth, yet your dogs are on your bed. True story. Found out rats like to come in that way. Went and got to cats. Don't hear that anymore. Rats leave even if a cat is present and is not directly chasing them, since it is their default predator, sort of evolutionary trait. Like a person walks to a beach and sees an alligator and slowly walks away, even if the alligator haven't seen the human. Once when I was home alone at night, I was just playing Mice when I noticed at the corner of my eye that my laptop on the other side of the room had turned the face recognition on. Even though I was nowhere near it and not in its camera view, and it had been in the same exact position for about an hour without doing anything. Doesn't sound as creepy writing it down now, but I nearly shot it at the time. Your FBI guy done messed up. This was years ago, at my parents' house. They were out of town for the weekend, so being a coward, I had the doors locked early, blinds shut, lights on in several rooms. Had a banging on my front door, then a minute or so later, something knocking on my window. It was my asshole friend trying to scare me, while his wife waited in the car. Did not expect the friend to have a wife. How old were you guys? I was like 22. Terribly afraid of the dark. He, a few years older. Here's a funny one. I was home alone at watching TV in the family room. It's a dark and windy night, and I think I hear something thumping outside the patio doors. I figure it's something to do with the wind, so I ignore it. The thumping continues, and suddenly I realize that it sounds like somebody walking on the back patio. The curtains are closed across the patio door, so I get up, walk over, and throw the curtains open. There's a guy standing right on the other side of the glass, looking in. I jump back, terrified, my heart racing. The guy jumps back also. He was as scared as I was. Because he was my reflection. I've told this before. My mom works night shifts, so I was home a lot often. I went downstairs to make some dinner and take it back to my room, but before leaving the kitchen I locked the back door. I go upstairs, and then I heard this awful bang and scrape noise. I was so scared, but I still went to check what it was. I opened the back door and I saw 3 bouquets of roses. I called my mom crying about it. She said a guy friend came by and wanted to give it to us. Mom, sister, me, for Valentine's Day. I told her about how the door was suddenly unlocked, and she said that he doesn't have a key.